Everyone, welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is season 3, episode 14. Good news, people. The JUCO advocate himself, Brandon Goebel, is back. Brandon, we are excited that you were with us in your Sean Marion Matrix t-shirt.
Look at that. How good is that?
Okay, we're trying to bring some good vibes to the Vincent's community. Rough one yesterday in Region 24 where the Trailblazers fell to the upset-minded Kaskaskia Blue Devils. But if we shall, let's jump right into the rewind, Brandon.
Let's do it.
All right, Saturday we had a couple of teams punch their tickets. Wallace State Hanceville defeated Southern Union State. Wallace State, of course, one of the Cinderella teams from last year's tournament. They returned point guard author AJ Johnson, little lefty, sharpshooter, unbelievable for Wallace State. And then also on Saturday, Monroe punched their ticket. They overcame a double-digit halftime deficit. They were really good in the second half. The Mustangs returned to the national tournament for the first time since 2023. Brandon, Wallace State, Monroe, they're in.
They're in.
Any
That's
thoughts?
it. I don't want to play Wallace State right off the rip. I can tell you that.
No, that's
Ooh.
going to ruin somebody's Saturday.
uh, you
They're
know,
going to
we're
be in for a long Saturday.
we're going to talk with another coach later on about his little guard, but I love AJ Johnson.
He's the
Uh,
real deal.
yep. And that's the kind of guy that goes into an environment like that and can just kind of put everybody on his shoulders and just create havoc. And obviously a very well coached team. So that is not a team I would be looking for in my bracket.
No, you don't want to see them. You don't want to be matched up with them. All right, we had some other region champions though, Brandon. So we're going to talk now about the teams that won a region title, but they're playing in to a district championship, if you will. We're going to start with the Midwest. Three Rivers, the Raiders, they pulled off maybe the first big upset of championship week as they defeated Moberly. So the Raiders, they will host Triton. Triton held off a strong second half from Kankakee. I think win or lose, I think Triton will be in to the national tournament. But of course, Big Suit Brian Burns, he wants to be the Midwest champions. In the West, Snow defeated CSI. The Badgers undefeated in Scenic West regular season and postseason play. I think that's a pretty impressive feat because the Scenic West isn't exactly the easiest conference to run through. CSI, Salt Lake, North Idaho, not a lot of easy nights. And then Eastern Arizona, the Gila Monsters, they defeated Arizona Western to win the Region 1 crown Saturday night. Eastern Arizona has lost 3 games this season, Brandon. Southern Nevada, Arizona Western, and Coach May's Snow Badgers. Ironically, the Gila Monsters are on a full revenge tour. They beat Southern Nevada and Arizona Western on the way to a Region 1 title. Only the Badgers remain on the revenge tour Saturday night in Ephraim, Utah.
Yeah, let's go back to the Three Rivers Triton game. Interesting, right? Like you've got Three Rivers with a big upset. You got Triton getting tested
Tested.
by by
Feisty Kankakee team.
the fighting Kankakee.
Yeah.
But Robert Kirby knows how to coach now.
Yeah.
He's been around for a minute, and so um, if Triton's not locked, loaded, and ready to rock, which you would assume that Soup's got him. Big Soup's got him ready to go after squeaking by Kankakee, but man, that could be a tough matchup. And then Snow, Eastern Arizona is the game that we've kind of really been looking forward to if that all played out that way. Eastern Arizona has been a little bit of this like all season Cinderella, if you will. Super talented, tough region to get a lot of love out of. But they've literally done just about everything that you could possibly ask of them. And so, Snow got them the first time. I think it's gonna be a tough, close game, as good as Snow is, because Eastern is obviously very well coached, and they do have a lot of talent as well. They actually have some really good abilities to match up against Snow's players specifically, right? They have some of that size and length and the ability to get out on shooters, and have some post presence and all that sort of stuff.
I'm of the opinion that Eastern Arizona does not have to win the game. I
I
think
would agree.
I think they need to keep it close, right? I don't think aesthetically you want a 25 or 30 point loss, but I'm thinking they keep this thing 12 points or less. They're going to look like a legitimate team. They have 28 Division 1 wins. It's going to be very, very hard, I think, for the committee to keep the Gila Monsters out.
Yeah, I mean, if we go through the things of what teams have been told they need to do,
They've
to
done it. They've done all they can do.
they've done it all.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it's not a situation where you say like, well, they've done all these things, but like, okay, it's not maybe as popular of a region as others, and so like the players like aren't as good. Like if you actually know this team, Eastern has a lot of really good players. They have a good handful of guys that are going to play Division I basketball.
Yeah,
So it's not like
absolutely.
you're choosing somebody that's, uh, you know, put up some kind of fake numbers and but doesn't actually have the juice. Like Eastern's got enough juice to win games at Hutch.
And if there is a sister program to Eastern Arizona, if there was a almost Canadian version of Eastern Arizona, it's going to be our next team that we're going to talk about out of the North Central District. So on Saturday, Dawson held off a pesky Williston State team to win the Region 13 title. That means that Dawson will host Indian Hills and Glendive, Montana, about a 16-hour trip for those Indian Hills Warriors. How did Indian Hills get here? They defeated Southeastern Saturday night as well. Watched a lot of Dawson's Mondac tournament. Man, Dawson is the real deal. That is a really, really good basketball team.
Yeah, and Joe Peterson, one of the best coaches in JUCO, he's so funny too because if you go up to him and you talk to him, he's the nicest guy on the planet. And you say, "Hey, coach, you got this great team, and you do this, and you do that, and you're ever all excited." And he goes, "Yep, they go pretty well." That's it. That's all you're going to get out of him. But he's awesome, and so he's going to have those guys locked in. That is a heck of a road trip to take. What I will say about Indian Hills in that Southeastern game, I thought there was a little bit of resurgence, maybe by some players in that game that had had their ups and downs. Will Casey hadn't been playing great
Hit some threes.
as of late. Hit some threes.
Sharpshooter.
Don't tell him that. Um, but I think
Says, Coach Dewey, let me loose.
Coach Dewey says, "Stop it." I think there was some real momentum and positivity for them to take away from that game, going into this one. So Dawson's going to get an Indian Hills that's on the up rather than an Indian Hills that's kind of stumbling to the goal line here.
And then yesterday we had the beginning of both the Central District and the Gulf District. So Central is Indiana, Illinois. Our winners there, Kaskaskia over Vincennes. Maybe the biggest upset of the season. Lincoln Trail defeats Wabash Valley. John A. Logan, Lakeland. Of the remaining teams, Lincoln Trail, John A. Logan, and Lakeland have all been at least receiving votes at some point during the season. So that just means, we think Vincennes will still get an at-large bid, but there will be a second team from the Central District go to Hutch. I have no idea who it's going to be. No idea.
I wouldn't want to be sitting on the bubble watching results like that. That's a tough one.
Yeah, for the regions that thought they might get three teams, with Moberly and Vincennes both losing, not the direction that you want to see as championship week begins. And then in the Gulf, the four top seeds all won: Itawamba, Jones, Pearl River, Northeast Mississippi. Jones will play Northeast, Itawamba, Pearl River. Once again, if you're a team on the bubble, if you're in one of those power regions, send Coach Newton Mueller a fruit basket.
Yeah,
You know,
Cord Wright's going to have Northeast ready to go. I mean, that should be a really good game. Cord and Northeast have been right there, kind of at the back end of the top 25 all season. Um,
and Itawamba, Pearl River, like they're right there. All four really good
yeah,
teams. Itawamba, only team in Mississippi to beat Jones this year behind an amazing performance by AJ Dent. The night
yep,
AJ Dent looked like an NBA player. So, I mean, four really good teams left in Mississippi. Four teams I think that are good enough. If any of them got to Hutch, they can win at Hutch.
yep. And Jones has positioned themselves that they're probably in
They're in
regardless.
regardless. Yeah.
Um,
But Coach Mueller likes trophies.
no,
That's
no,
what we're
for sure,
told.
for sure. He
He's in
does.
for
He does.
championships.
He does. Newton likes champs. Yeah, again, another potential bid stealer here because while Jones, is obviously the favorite, like any one of those teams can jump up and get you because they're really talented. They're
Oh, they'll
really
get you. Yeah.
and a lot of experience on those rosters.
And then in the Appalachian District, which is Tennessee, Columbia State beat Roan. This was a crazy game. Maroon State has been just decimated with injuries. They have 6 players on their roster, down
Yep.
21 at halftime, force overtime, but too much of the fighting Winston Neal's down the stretch. Columbia State gets the big win. And then, maybe the second biggest upset of the tournament, Pellissippi State takes out Walters State. So Pellissippi as a 7 seed, they take out the 2 Volunteer State, then they take out the 3 Walters State. As we record this, it's Tuesday, so 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Pellissippi State trying to go for the trifecta, take out the 1, 2, and the 3 seed in Tennessee.
Find Pellissippi on a map. I dare you. Good luck.
I don't even know honestly what town it is in Tennessee, but good luck to the folks at Pellissippi State. They have a nice logo. That's what I know. But which that's been a fun district to watch. They don't get a lot of love. They'll be seated somewhere between 22 and 24, probably whoever wins. But they'll be scrappy. They'll be scrappy. It's what they do. All right, let's transition to the rundown. We're going to break down the other regions that we haven't talked about yet. The Atlantic District, which is your Carolinas, are going to play those games in Catawba Valley. That championship will be on Saturday. Salkehatchie was the representative there last year. And Brandon, I'll open up to you. Any big thoughts in the Atlantic District?
You know, Salkehatchie, I think has a real good chance to return, but they've dropped a couple, and there's actually more talent in that region than I think people realize, and unfortunately, kind of in this modern era of recruiting and things with the portal and all that kind of stuff, they're gonna be a lot of overlooking players there, but
Yeah, guys slipped through the cracks in Alabama and the Carolinas and stuff.
yeah.
Just like I found a guy on Southern Union State this week that I fell in love with.
Yeah. And I on my list to go back and watch because I got to be honest, I haven't gotten to watch a lot of Southern Union this
I
year.
know. I
So
just heard that song, that Madonna song. I fell in love with a beautiful stranger. I think it was off the Austin Powers soundtrack. But like the whole time I'm watching the big guy, Christian Beam play. I'm like, who is this 7 foot
everything went
man with
quiet
great
except the
hands?
music. Just you know,
It's like he moved in slow motion to the soundtrack. I mean, you're talking about a 7 footer who had 11 block shots in a game. Nobody's recruiting him. Who are we? Great hands, good passer. I digress.
true
Let's move
story, people. He's
on.
texting me throughout the whole thing, like giving me the live update on what's happening with a
Let's
specific player.
let's move on, shall we? In the Mid South, those games are going to be played at Lee. We have our play-in games that start today, but I think the big three in this conference, of course, Trinity Valley, who has already punched their ticket to the national tournament, they will be no worse than a number 2 seed. Panola and Angelina, obviously both trying to win the championship, but 2 teams that would be in the mix for an at-large. What excites you the most about the Mid South tournament, Brandon?
Boy, can they get 3 squads in? That's what excites me here is to kind of see like, hey, Region 14 is kind of been up and down and all around, recently. Like this could really be a bit of a power move for them if they can, have their top dogs, kind of get as far as possible in this thing without getting upset and then really put it to the committee to say, hey, you know,
Yeah. Put it in the
we've all
committee's
been right
Yeah,
there
put it in the
all
committee's
year.
hands. Give them no excuses to eliminate someone early, right?
Yeah.
But 3 teams that are really, really good, Elite Eight, Final Four type of teams there in one region. The Northwest Plains region is going to be played in Gillette. That championship game is also going to be on Saturday. Um, Trinidad State, they've been the team that is the Northwest Plains in the past few years. Coach Folda does a great job.
Yep.
This year, you have Gillette and Casper, who've kind of been the big teams. It would be fun to see Abdul Bashir play in the national tournament on the big stage, but man, Gillette's fun to watch. We're going to talk about one of their players later on, but any thoughts on the Northwest Plains?
Yeah, I'll be heading up there Thursday, gonna drive 4.5 hours through who knows what's going to happen on a 2-lane road uh, with the weather. But
Ice, snow, maybe attacked by a moose.
yeah, one of the best arenas in junior college
That's
basketball.
beautiful. Yeah.
Uh, it's fantastic. It's a great environment. I've been up there a number of times. Coach Sean Neary can really coach. Jefferson Neary, his son, who's the point guard, is one of the toughest players at any level I have ever seen. And so have really enjoyed watching him. Obviously Gillette, team to beat in this situation, but I do think both Casper and Trinidad more than capable of getting getting the win there. There's another Reeves down at Trinidad State that
Amir.
coming on. Amir is playing really well, and so we may see. Wouldn't that be wild? What, four in a row? Uh, Hutch appearances.
Coach Folda might want to look into like a long-term lease, maybe like an Airbnb situation
I'm just saying,
there. Mr. March.
Coach Folda never been on JUCO Jam. Coach Folda wins a lot. I don't know. Maybe he's like the anti JUCO Jam curse guy. Like he's like, nah, I'm not trying to mess with my career, fellas.
I don't want that smoke. I don't blame him. We've done some things this year. All right, we're going to transition to a couple of the power regions, the Plains. Once again, championship game on Saturday at Fort Hays State. Listen to these matchups, beautiful matchups. Dodge City, Cali, Cloud Barton, Garden City, Coffeyville, Butler, Hutch. Um, you got an upset special for me, Brandon? You think anybody, the three teams that are ranked right now, we have, Cali is the one seed, Coffeyville's the two, Barton the three. If you had to take somebody out of those top three, who do you like?
So I have to prepare this. We love Donnie Jackson. We love Donnie Jackson and Cowley. We love Donnie Jackson, Cowley, and
Oh, you're
his.
going there, aren't you? You're doing it.
But
You're burning the boats.
Dodge City has been
Hot.
playing really well right
Yeah.
now. And if you said, "Hey, you have to pick one," which is what he's saying, Donnie, he's saying I have to pick one. And I know you love us too, and you're not going to hold it against me. I think Dodge has a chance to stir some things up and create
I
chaos.
agree, Donnie. We love you, but I mean, it was Brandon that said it. All right, we're going to transition right to the South Atlantic region. This is going to be played at Northwest Florida, which has to feel somewhat of like a funeral without the Raiders there, probably reminiscent of the Butch Pierre era. But quick up the matchups: Miami-Dade, Chipola, Pensacola, Eastern Florida, Polk, Daytona, Florida Southwest, Gulf Coast. I think Daytona, Chipola are in no matter what. I think Eastern Florida has to win the tournament to get in. I think Gulf Coast, if they win two games, they got a really good shot at a spot. Um, Anything that you're most excited about here in the South Atlantic?
Honestly, really seeing if we get that Gulf Daytona matchup, just because of what that can really mean for a lot of things here.
Yeah,
Daytona is good to go, I think, but if we get that Gulf Coast Daytona matchup and Gulf pulls that off, I think that should secure a position for him. I mean, who knows at the end of the day, but
yeah,
uh, Florida was very good this year. Very, very good, evidenced by the fact that Northwest Florida, didn't get in.
yeah.
They are very talented and very, very well coached, and just kind of one of those years. But Florida has a number of teams in there that if you said, well, they won Hutch, like, yeah, that makes sense.
Someone asked me recently what team has the most to gain during the region tournament format from just a ranking standpoint, ranked to seed. And what I said was Daytona State. They're ranked 10th right now. Whoever wins the Florida district, it happens every year, they jump way up in the seeding process because it's such a tough route to win the Florida tournament that I think Daytona could jump as high as a three seed when it's all said and done if they win out from here. Um, you want to rebuttal? You want to rebuttal on that one because this is a power
No, no,
conference. You agree with me on that?
I agree because obviously Daytona had a
Kerfuffle? Can we say
some,
kerfuffle?
some goofy things, and so
Non-traditional losses.
while I think
Joey Canton, friend of the show.
um, while I think they're good to go regardless, you're right. I think if they were to go out and win that thing, they could really leap up and position themselves as a very high seed. Because if the um, non-traditional losses had turned into
Thank
traditional
you.
wins, they
Right.
would have they would have already been there.
There's a there's a lot of theoretical stuff going on here, but the bottom line is like Coach Canton's, we're with you on this, and we think you could be the three seed if you win out because you're going to have a really tough path. regardless. All right, Brandon, we're going to power through. We have three districts remaining.
Yeah.
Deep breath. All right, here we go. South Central in
Yogi.
Muskogee High School. All right, here we go. Seminole State, Redlands, Eastern Oklahoma, NEO, Enid, Connor State, Western Oklahoma State, Murray State. All right, I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to vote against Connor State. I'm not going against them. I'm not doing it.
No, but
I'm planting my flag.
I'm going to give you a dark horse here. You get a dark horse here. Western Oklahoma State
Yeah.
comes out of the region. That's my dark horse pick. Uh,
Yeah.
I love all of you, most of you, and yeah, I
There are
think
several of you that I love.
I think Coach Rowe, we've said it before, like not a great schedule, it is what it is. But I think they're talented. I think he does a good job there, and there's some other things going on with some teams in that region that are maybe going to give Western Oklahoma State a little bit better of a shot than they maybe would have had in the past. So, yeah, that's my dark horse pick here.
I love it. All right. In the Southeast, which is Georgia, these games are going to be played at the higher seed. Andrew, South Georgia State, Central Georgia Tech versus Gordon State, Eastern Georgia State versus Albany Tech, and Georgia Highlands versus South Georgia Tech. South Georgia State has been really the team that's been ranked receiving votes all year. They got the marquee win versus Eastern Florida. Why not South Georgia State and Coach
Yeah, why
Cornwall?
not?
Why
I
not?
mean, honestly, like,
Why not the Hawks?
why not? Albany Tech's got a little point guard that I love that can score the heck out of the ball.
Yes. Chase
And
Hill.
yep, Mr. Chase Hill is somebody that at any given moment can jump up and pop you and grab a win almost by himself. So, South Georgia State probably the cream of the crop right now. But if any of those teams were to come out of there, like, wouldn't be shocked.
Someone asked me, how do you keep your South Georgia straight? South Georgia State is the Hawks. They have more blue. South Georgia Tech is the Jets, more red. There you go. That's all I got. All right. In conclusion, we have the Southwest, which will be played at McLennan. We have Temple South Plains, Weatherford Midland, Grayson Frank Phillips, McLennan, New Mexico. Wow. McLennan, New Mexico, let's start right there. McLennan, the number 1 seeded team from North Texas. New Mexico, the 4 seed from the Whack Jack. That's the game I have my eyes on in the opening round. What say you, Mr. Goebel?
Yeah, I agree. Now I think the Southwest District is the way that this tournament gets put together and stuff is kind of different. Obviously, the Whack Jack has been the superior side of that for a while, but there's not one team in that Whack Jack that is drastically better on a neutral court than the others. I don't think. Now, South Plains probably has the best guard play
Yeah.
by far in the way that they're going to press and things like that. Or and if you try and press them, you're in trouble.
You can't press South Plains.
Yeah,
You can't press. You can't press Caleb Blackwell. All right. Question for you, Brandon. Do we get 4 Whack Jack teams in the semis?
no.
Ooh. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'm not gonna ask.
Don't do it because
I'm
I
not
ain't
gonna do
answer.
it.
But
I'm not
it's
gonna do
one of
it.
those things that like Kaskaskia beating Vincennes. When you get to this time of year, just all hell can break loose at any given moment. The odds are that the 4 favorites don't win, right?
Right.
So
JUCO gonna JUCO.
JUCO gonna juke, yo.
Yeah. All right, guys, stay with us. That's our recap of all 16 districts. When we come back, we're going to have Coach Hayden Sowers from South Plains in the spotlight with us.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to the Spotlight. We are so happy to be joined by South Plains head coach Hayden Sowers. Coach Sowers, thank you so much for joining us today.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Man, the Texans, you guys are playing good basketball right now. 24-6. You're on a 7-game winning streak, 11-1 down the stretch. In the last 12 here, you're playing your best basketball right now. What are you enjoying the most about this Texan squad?
Just for one, getting healthy, getting everybody out there. I think we've only played maybe 5, 6, 7 games with our entire team. And then once you get them out there, with the guards we have, just watching those guards play has been a lot of fun. But the main thing is getting healthy, watching them come together, watching them value winning down the stretch and what winning can do for each one of their, individual careers.
One of my favorite players in the country is, without a doubt, Caleb Blackwell. I could watch him play every day, all day. Tell us just a little bit about Caleb, maybe something that we don't know, and what does his recruiting look like? I don't follow it that closely. So
Yeah.
are teams interested in him? Has he already signed somewhere for next year?
He signed with Milwaukee early. They came down and made him a priority, and he thought it was a good situation, and they do a good job, especially with junior college players. They've had a lot of success with those guys in the past. But Caleb, great worker, great family. One of the best just pure point guards that I've been around since I've been in junior college. Willing passer, which always is good in junior college to have a guy that is willing to pass and get others involved. I'd be willing to bet that, he's got to be top 3 or 4 in the country in assists after Christmas. He really turned it on. Just a really good kid too, worker. Glenn did a good job getting him signed up here, and I'm glad he's with us. I'm glad he's with us. I thought going into the season, we might have had the 2 best point guards in the country with him and Arterio. Obviously, with Arterio's injury, we had to rely heavily on Caleb, and he answered the call down, especially after Christmas.
I know the junior college world.
Nick made a joke about watching Caleb, all day, every day. The funny thing is he actually does. He just he's got a second monitor, and it's on a loop.
Yeah.
If Nick loves anything, it's real point guards.
Real point guard. And I like guys that can hit a free throw. But you know what's cool about Caleb is he's like a one-man press.
Uh-huh.
Do you have to sometimes bring him back in and be like, Caleb, I don't need you pressing 94 feet. Like, let's just bring it back a little bit. Let's conserve some energy. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I like him pressuring the ball between me and you. He can get up under pressure, and in part, a couple of our zones we play, we'd allow him to go up there, him and Arterio, and pressure the ball 94 feet. But you're right, we have relied a lot on him on offense. He's playing 36 to 38 minutes, and sometimes defensively we've had to move him off the ball to conserve a little bit, But
someone asked me how many times do you think Caleb would turn you in the backcourt? I'm like 17 times. He would turn me at least 17 times.
Right. And I normally don't like smaller guards, but I'm starting with the experience with Caleb. I think we're signed up for one a year probably.
That's I don't blame you there at all. Now, the world of junior college basketball has changed a lot, especially how kids sign. You mentioned Caleb signed early with Milwaukee. I know Coach Williams does a good job there, and then the junior college guys and JaMichael Stillwell, great junior college to Division I story. Do you like when guys sign early? Would you prefer that they signed after the national tournament? Kind of where do you come down on that as a coach?
I think both are good, especially for the kids. That's part of our job, getting them signed to the next level. But early, if they sign early, a lot of guys are worried that they might, look ahead and not value winning during the season. But you could always flip that into a positive. And if you need that Division I to help you during the season, you can always just call them and either get them on the phone with their guy or get them down in person to talk about what's going on. Then on the flip side, if they don't sign, obviously they got their careers on the line down the stretch here, so they're always going to play and operate right heading into the postseason with the amount of coaches that are at the region tournaments and Hutch. So I'm kind of in the middle. I guess you could say case by case basis. I
was saying, don't let Hayden fool you. It's whichever one is going. I knew we shouldn't have let him sign early. He's not I knew we should have had him.
Hey, don't merge Glenn in here because he'll probably tell you the same thing.
Coach, talk a little bit about, obviously South Plains, one of the, the best, if not the best junior college program in the country. undoubtedly in everybody's top 5 programs. Tell us your just philosophy about your non-conference schedule. Obviously, this year you went out, you did the Battle of the Boot where you played North Idaho, Monroe, East Florida, and then you played Panola and Angelina. Just kind of what's your philosophy on playing these big battles?
I think at a place like South Plains, I think you do it every year. I think you go play two, three, four blue bloods every single year if you can. Obviously with the financial limitations, you got to be smart with what's going on. But I mean, I think this year we ended up playing 16 teams that were ranked, so over half our schedule is ranked. And I believe, while I was not a huge fan when we lost 3 in a row in Panola and Angelina beat us, I believe that it helped us ultimately into conference play. And we had played those teams that you're going to see every night talent wise in the conference. We didn't have a super adjustment period. I'm a fan of it. I loved going to Idaho. Obviously, Panola we knew was going to be good. Angelina, we were a little bit surprised, but boy, if they had a great year. And then Indian Hills, obviously, as well.
What makes Angelina so good, right? Maybe, the road runners are a little bit off the radar. They've been, ranked between 10 and 20 most of the year. You've seen them up close and personal. What do you like about that Angelina team? What makes them a tough
I
matchup?
thought their defense and their toughness, and then they use the clock on offense. They score so many buckets there in the last 8 seconds of the shot clock that it just kind of demoralizes you. You have to chase them around for 22, 25 seconds, and then they got 2 really good players out there. I saw one of them, I believe, just signed or committed somewhere. I saw on the internet, maybe Long Beach State, and no, they do a hell of a job. Kudos to them.
All right.
Kudos.
I'm going to ask you one more softball question before you face the big one. Um, every year, you guys are in the mix for a national title. I know that's the goal every year for you in South Plains. But what are you most excited about heading into championship week this week and heading into the national tournament at Hutch?
Just the opportunity to compete for championships. It doesn't get better than this. I told the guys, I guess yesterday at practice, every day seasons are endings, and you could look at that and tighten that it could potentially tighten you up, you know what I mean? But the real players and the real teams step up, and it's always great to see just the opportunity to compete for championships. Guys are off campus in hotels, and we're locked into winning. And obviously the goal and the expectation here is to compete and win for championships every year.
All right, Coach. Well, as you know, I get to ask the most important question. Now, I'm going to make this a two-parter though, because of course we got to have our consistency on the show, but I am curious about one other thing as well. So first question, obviously when you roll into the mecca that is Chili's,
Yeah.
what do we have, and have you changed it up at all, from the past? Are we going outside of our comfort zone? And then the second question though is, you go on all these road trips and you guys play a great schedule all over the country. What's your favorite, if we'll just assume it's Chili's, but then if you had to go like the second thing, like what's your favorite spot to go
Yeah,
to?
not every town has a Chili's, Brandon. You might find this hard to believe, but there are towns that don't have it in the
Well, I
JUCO
don't
circuit.
go to those towns, so I don't,
Yeah.
you know.
Um, I'll answer the second one first because it was fresher on my mind there. Our guys went to Cheddar's a couple times this year,
Mm.
Mhm.
and it was pretty good. I had some type of Cajun pasta there with all kind of sausage, chicken, shrimp in it, and it was really good. They did it every time we went over there to Dallas. Obviously, for the guys, if we can find a wing stop, they love wing stop. It takes at least 3 years to get the wings ready, but we'll eventually get them.
As long as you're winning, you'll wait, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we pulled into Wingstop after we beat Midland there the last regular season game, and I always like to order mine separately so I know it'll be fresh. And I said, "How long is the wait?" And they said, "Well, Coach, we're currently on an hour and 47-minute wait." And I just turned around. Me and Glenn got right back in the truck and ended up hitting Canes. Pillar of healthy decisions here down at South Plains.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So what are we eating at Chili's then?
Well, win, lose, or draw, I'll probably start off with something in a cold mug. I heard Coach Franklin talking about it, but win, lose, or draw, we're there, and probably the skillet queso as well. That's a staple. And then Probably, I've been on the burgers lately. I've been on the burgers lately. Burgers and fries. I think Chili's fries are underrated. And then you can never go wrong with the chicken crispers.
If you got a bit extra of that skillet queso laying around, that's going to really elevate the fries.
No doubt. No doubt.
Is there any way that we could broker a deal somehow between getting you and Coach Franklin to play somewhere? Is there any way that we can bring a South Plains Vincennes matchup to the
Hey,
people?
we have, I will say this, I won't give away many details, but we have at least communicated via text after Christmas about a potential matchup somewhere in the Midwest.
JUCO Jam Roadshow. Just saying.
Yeah. I think we got some pretty big time matchups in the works. So we're going to go out to Florida and play, I think, after Christmas. So I think we'll have one of the most competitive schedules in the country this year. Again, next year, excuse me.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on JUCO Jam. Wish you the best of luck down the stretch, and excited to see you again in Hutchinson. And appreciate everything you do for the show. Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, stick with us. When we return, we'll get into the grind.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are in the grind. We're going to talk about a current JUCO player having a lot of success on the court. We're going to go out west. We don't go out west enough, Brandon. We're going to talk about Dane Christensen from Gillette, a 6'7" freshman from Orem, Utah. Let me give some stats, folks. 16 points a game, 7.3 rebounds, 39% from three. Brandon, if I dare, I want to give you a 90s player comp, and I'm going to give you two. Wally Zerbiak meets Tom Gugliotta.
Oh, boy, we don't get to say Tom Gugliotta enough.
Not enough.
And
you're willing to throw your own player comp out there.
I can't do them like you because it would be like why am I even trying when you can just pull Tom Gugliotta out of your head? Like, why am I even trying?
It felt like it fit, but he's a versatile guy. He's inside, outside. And I think, at 6'7", a guy that can shoot it and rebound, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
And he's not a skinny 6'7" now. I mean, he's
strong.
He's a horse. So, Gillette is a very, very well-coached team. Sean Neary does a heck of a job. And Dane Christensen is like a Sean Neary dream of a player where he's just tough and skilled and can do all the things, whatever you ask him to do. So if Gillette is able to make it to Hutch, winning the Region 9 tournament, unfortunately they somehow had a moment at the end of the regular season, which put a damper on any hopes of trying to jump up into an at-large bid discussion. But Dane Christensen's the type of guy that can put that team on his back and carry him through the tournament, and I'll be up there to see him on Thursday.
That's awesome. We want report back. Let him know that he is on the grind. He's on notice. All right, we're going to transition. We're going to go to the show. We're going to talk about an NCAA player having a lot of success. Tavion Banks, former Northwest Florida State Raider, goes to Drake. Josh Sash, former Indian Hills coach, assistant coach at Drake. But I think Drake's one of those programs, right? It's kind of everybody's Cinderella right now, right? Kind of a mid-major doing big things. But Tavion's been a big part of that, averaging 10 and 4. And I know you know Tavion pretty well.
Yeah, no, great player, having a great season on a great team. And the crazy part is like he's a little bit of like the odd man out on that team because a lot of those really successful players on Drake right now came with the head coach from his previous D2 spot. And Tavion, no stranger to change. Obviously, being a JUCO guy has just worked right in there. And the crazy thing too is that like Drake, even as a program, in the last 6, 7 years, has had a ton of really good JUCO talent without doing a ton of JUCO recruiting. Right, like they've been very purposeful.
Like they've hit, right?
Yeah,
Like a high hit
yeah,
rate.
yeah, every time. So, big time for Tavion, and excited to see what they're able to accomplish the rest of the season.
Skilled, athletic, um, 90s player comp escaping me. I feel like I let Tavion down. The one name that kind of that I think of with his game, he doesn't shoot it as well, but he's got a little Jamal Mashburn, maybe because they both wear 24, but just like versatile 6'7" guys that can do a little bit of everything. I like Tavion. I really enjoyed watching him at Northwest Florida, and they were so close to winning the national title um, with his time there in Florida. All right, guys, stick with us. When we come back, we're going to get to our final segment, and it's a big one. We're actually gonna give out some awards. So stick with us. We'll be back in one moment.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is like award time for us. This is technically our 6-man segment, but Brandon, I think it's time. We're going to announce our JUCO Jam National Player of the Year. So we've tallied the ballots.
We're ready to make the call. We're
Yeah,
ready.
we tallied the ballots.
We've got the big board.
We went to there's yarn, there's string.
Yep.
And who's the winner?
So, National Player of the Year, and this probably isn't that big of a surprise, I wouldn't think. He did,
But it's a big honor.
it's a big honor, especially the JUCO Jam version of it, right?
Absolutely.
He did just take down the Region Player of the Year, but that would be one Isaac Finlinson, is our National Player of the Year. He has been an absolute monster for the absolute monster that is Snow this season. Isaac is one of the best kids you will ever meet in your life. He is so driven and hardworking, and he's incredibly skilled, and he is a true team guy, which, national players of the year a lot of times are, not that they're not team guys, but like, there's just so much focus on them. But he does so many different things that really involves the rest of his team as well, and does that at such a high level. So, for us here at JUCO Jam, which is really the place that matters most.
It's the one that you want to get.
It's the one
Let's
you
be
want.
honest.
It's the one you want, like people love to win the US Open, but really they want the Masters, right? They want the green jacket. That's what we got here. So, Isaac Finlinson, our JUCO Jam National Player of the Year.
And this segues really nicely. Isaac Finlinson is a great story about a group that stayed together and came back for a second year at Snow. And Snow does a great job with development. And now we're going to talk about the JUCO Jam National Coach of the Year, which goes to?
It goes to Isaac Finlinson's coach, May. Just an unbelievable job by Coach May, really piecing this thing together in a very purposeful way. and the way that they play and the wins that they've had and how they've won a lot of those games. And just continuing to carry things through. There was all these opportunities, the traps and pitfalls, and ability opportunity to just overlook some things. And
Can't trap a badger.
can't trap a badger. I mean, I think they do, but like not this one.
Coach May, not head badger.
One slip up all year, on the road against a very, very, very good team. So yeah, Andrew May, National Coach of the Year for the JUCO Jam, and we're going to be seeing him in Hutchinson, and very likely the number one overall seed.
Absolutely. Guys, we got a lot of great basketball. It's championship week. Clear your schedules. Watch some hoops. Stick with us. Looking forward to seeing you Sunday on the Selection Show. Thank you and have a great sports week.